Hi, my name is Lage, and I'm developing a puzzle video game called Stig, together with my partner Miriam. It's been a couple of weeks since our last video, and I thought I would give an update on what's been going on since then. Welcome to Stig Devlog 1. So the music in the game is made partially by me and partially by Miriam's brother Matthias. And in the last few weeks, Matthias has been working on a track for the final level of the game, for the ending. And that track is turning out really awesome. And one thing that's so good about it is the way that it loops seamlessly. It's like a good continuous loop that you could listen to forever. But adding this track into the game highlighted a problem with our code. The way HTML5 and React handles audio, there's always a slight delay between the ending and the start, like the breakpoint between the loop. And in the past, I'd been trying to minimize this gap by adding an event listener that resets the track before it actually loops, rather than just setting loop true on the audio object. And that worked fine before because all our previous music kind of fades out and fades back in, so you can hide the gap in a quiet moment in the song. But with this new song, there's no possibility for that, and the gap became really obvious and disturbing to listen to. So this took some problem solving. What we ended up going with was using an audio context and a buffer, and built our own little class that has the same interface as the audio object in React, but that has a seamless loop. But then this introduced some new problems where audio would take a bit longer to load. And I ended up finding more problems by sprinting through a world, and the first world's music would start and then the second world's music would start, cutting the one track off a millisecond in. And I started finding all of these weird edge case bugs. And this is what's so good about being two people on the project. Because if I would have been alone, I would have spent days, probably weeks, on this specific thing, trying to get it really perfect. But now Miriam was but maybe it's good enough for now. Maybe there's other things that have a higher priority. And she was completely right. So our project management for this game is basically just a long backlog of things in the README file. So we ended up removing the one that said fix seamless audio, because that was done. But then we added new points further down in the backlog about getting it to load quicker, fixing all of these issues. So if we finish everything else of higher priority, maybe we can spend some more time on this in the future, but for now it's good enough for sure. Another thing that happened was we got a bug report on the Steam discussion forums saying the person could not use their controller until they plugged it out and plugged it back in, then it started working. And we couldn't reproduce it, so we were hey, try to talk to the person, what are you running it on, how do we reproduce it? And they said they were running it on Ubuntu, on Linux. And we didn't know we supported Linux, so we figured, okay, how is this possible? And that's when we discovered this whole thing about Proton, which we didn't know about, how Steam is able to run Windows executables on Linux. And I have an old Ubuntu laptop from back in uni that I haven't started up in a couple of years, probably. It's very old at this point. So we started that up and we couldn't get the game to run on it. And we looked around what could cause it. Figured, okay, it's an 8-year-old version of Ubuntu. So we had to update the version, which you can only do in increments. So we started okay, try and get this laptop up to speed. But the game still doesn't run out of the box using Proton. So we have no idea how to get that working. We did manage to build a game for Linux using an app image. So we're thinking maybe do a dedicated Linux version of the game and hope that the controller problem doesn't exist in that build. We're still not sure what to do about it. We were hoping to get it done by next fest. Probably won't happen, but if anyone uses Linux and has any input on this, we'd love to hear about it. Or if you try our game on Linux and it works or doesn't work, also be very glad to hear how that worked for you. We've also been doing more playtesting with other people, getting their feedback, and we found some levels that they didn't like for one reason or another, like they couldn't figure it out without just brute forcing it, and that's not really what we want for the game. So we tried to fix those levels a bit. Also, some levels we found out were way too difficult. So we figured, okay, let's try and move them off the main path, make them optional. So we can still have those levels, but just not make them mandatory to progress. Feels like a better solution. So at the time of recording, Next Fest is tomorrow. So we're really looking forward to that. Really excited, see what will happen. Maybe nothing, maybe a lot. We have no idea, but we're looking forward to finding out. Hope you appreciate this short little update. We'll be back soon with more. And that's Lage, checking out. Peace.